What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Degenerate Jay, and we're going to be talking about the Morbius delay, but more with that. We don't just want to talk about one movie being delayed because it's a movie. I don't think the overwhelming majority of people are all that interested in this movie. I do think there's definitely fans. I do think this movie has potential to be something, but I kind of want to talk about I feel the first domino that has fallen in 2021, and why I'm very, very worried for movies like Bond, Quiet Place Part 2, Black Widow, my personal favorite, F9. So I kind of want to talk about the state of the movie industry, and Jay has been with us for Part 1 and 2. I wanted to bring him in specifically for this to round out the trilogy, the Part 3 of this. So Jay, thank you so much for being here.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm interested to talk about nobody's favorite vampire, I guess, that people are finally figuring out who he is. I'm really surprised this movie even is happening, but it's gonna be interesting, and the release date is odd as well.
Yes. So before I get too far into it, make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed here, bell icon turn on. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I've been having a real Twitter problem as of late, but if you guys want to follow me there, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter name. Also, Jay, all of his stuff will be in the description and in a pinned comment. He's got a main channel, second channel. He has a Twitter. Phenomenal guy. He's talked about movies before. Obviously, he's a jack of all trades kind of guy. So, Jay, number one, I guess the Morbius thing, the title of the video, isn't really the most pressing thing to me. I guess we can talk about it really quickly. I'm interested in it. It was a movie that going into 2021, I circled on like a virtual, like fake calendar in my mind, where it's like, this is a movie that I'm interested in. I would try to probably find it in other ways other than paying money for it. Let's just leave it at that. And it's a movie like I would want to see, but kind of in that way, got delayed. So again, I personally don't really care all that much about the delay. It comes out, in October now? So I would say pretty substantial delay. But again, to me, it really speaks to like, all right, that's a March movie. It was a later-ish March movie. There's other movies that come out in March. There's a lot of big movies that come out in April and May. And I honestly am dreading waking up again, because we literally went through this last year, waking up and seeing, oh, Fast 9 got delayed again. Oh, Black Widow got delayed again. So what do you think, firstly, about the Morbius delay? And do you think that this is kind of a sign that the other movies are going to, again, be too scared to release?
Yeah, well, what I'm interested in is the fact that a lot of theaters still have not opened up in the US, at least. And they're kind of going through phases up and down in Europe, especially too. But the thing with the US is, I know in Minnesota, we finally got our restaurants to reopen actually just the other day, and still theaters in the area are not open. I think theaters had like a slightly later date for some reason by about 3 days. So it's odd. There really isn't a good incentive right now to release a movie. People will say that it's for the love of cinema and to keep movie theaters around, but let's be honest, these companies have kind of proven they don't care about that. Although that's weird, because I think it is going to directly affect their bottom line. Despite what a lot of people think about her, Patty Jenkins recently, before weirdly just shutting up about it, which is a whole nother issue, because it looks like she got a bit of a bonus. I'll just leave it at that. While she was bad-mouthing the whole direct-to-streaming, stuff. She was talking about how without theaters, actually, you might not even see nearly as big a budget movies. You might only see them from companies like Disney with stuff like The Mandalorian, that's obviously high-budget TV that they can use to push streaming services. But you might not see things like Avengers Endgame or, Wonder Woman 1984. And if you do, it might be way lower budget. Now, I understand the budget doesn't necessarily make a film good. However, there have been a lot of films we've seen, I would say, in the last 5 or 10 years that you couldn't make without a high budget. They just would not be makeable. And some of them are really good films like Endgame or Infinity War. So this is a difficult situation, I think. Does Sony release the movie in a dead market and know that it's going to do poorly because let's be honest, it's Morbius. It's not Spider-Man. It's not Batman. It's not Superman. Wonder Woman struggled at the box office. Yeah. Why should they release it, And even consumer questions on what the hell this movie is. People don't know. I mean, they had a random poster of the Raimi Spider-Man at one point in the background of the Morbius set for a promo photo. People don't really know what this is, if it's connected to anything in the Sony Spider-Verse, if there really even is one, if this will have any effect on that MCU Spider-Man 3 with all those castings. There's no information. So it's like all the cards have been played poorly, I think. No one knows anything. The theater has no reason, or I'm sorry, the company has no reason to release to theaters in a dead market. And then other movies are seeing this and going, yikes, why should we?
Right. No, it's scary. And I'll say this, you know, with Wonder Woman, we all can have our own opinions, and we have, right? And some people really love it, some people really hate it, some people fall in between. Like, a movie like that, to me, did disappoint me for like several reasons. But one of the reasons was, like, it really is a movie that you need to see, I think, in theaters. And we haven't gotten used to what it feels like to watch movies from home, or at least I haven't. I mean, I know people love streaming services, and obviously they've gotten bigger and bigger the last couple of years. I really stay away from it. You know, I do like Disney Plus and stuff like that. So when it comes to movies, I mean, I am a movie-going guy. Like, I like to go to theaters. And Wonder Woman, I do think would have worked way better. I don't think it would have, like, hidden the problems that movie had, but I think it would have made it a little bit better. Then you look at movies, again, like you look at, like, Fast 9 and stuff like that. Like, I'm terrified. Like, I don't want to watch that at home. I mean, I'll watch the other ones at home, but I've already watched them in theaters. I'm terrified to watch that at home. I don't want to, and we're again in the same situation. I mean, Jay and I have talked about this twice now. This is the third time where, you know, we can keep going over why is the world still closed, why are movie theaters still closed, all that stuff. Obviously, again, rallies and political statements, the certain things know not to attend, if you know what I mean, and obviously movie theaters, they do know to attend. So it's a situation where, yeah, we're still not done yet with, you know, the thing going on around the world. And it's something I even tweeted when Morbius got delayed. I did tweet, and I mean, nobody really knows the inner workings of my mind. I don't even know the inner workings of my mind, but I was thinking literally like 2-3 days before that movie got delayed, and I was thinking to myself, you know, we're approaching where some of these movies are going to come out, and this thing is not going away, and we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty of what January, February, March is going to bring. How long is it until a lot of these movies say, yep, we're not doing it, you know, we're gonna delay again? And I mean, I don't know about you, Jay, and this could be like the last part of the video, but like for me, and the ones I listed, basically Bond, Quiet Place, Fast and Furious 9 or F9, and Black Widow. I could be forgetting one or two, but like those are movies that, considering we're literally repeating last year, so all these movies are pretty much in the exact same month and date area that they were last year. If they get delayed again, like, I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for Black Widow, like, I want to see it. I'm still excited. I don't think many people are still excited, but it's like, if it gets delayed again, it's like, for the love of God, just release. Same thing with Wonder Woman. You know, they talked about it could potentially be stale. Now, they thought it would be stale because of a political thing we won't go into, but, you know, you look at those movies, and it's like, I don't want to watch them 2 years after they were supposed to come out. The only one I wouldn't lose significant interest in is F9, just because of, like, my love for it. But even that one, it'd be like, all right, like, what, I'm going to see it in a year and a half after it's supposed to come out? Like, let me just see these movies. So it's not, to me, it's not a good sign. I really can't imagine movies like Chaos Walking, The Kingsman, or any of these movies that are coming out in March, even movies in April. I think Bond comes out like the first week in April. I can't imagine they still release.
No, the Bond one is really odd too, because it was building. Bond has had a problem keeping its momentum in terms of releases. They had a problem keeping Daniel Craig because of a lot of people don't know behind the scenes stuff with his body. Like, he has bad knees and stuff too, and he tries to do some of the stunts on his own, or at least make it convincing that it's him so that the movie retains its quality. So you have these films already that had problems coming out. You know, filmmaking is a slow process, and then you're delaying it more and more and more. And what happens with that is this. I love, and I'm using it as a point, I love James Bond, especially the last two incarnations of him, Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig. Craig actually being surprisingly my favorite. And you have people who get really into these properties, like I am with that, who almost forget that they're coming out because they just get delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed, to the point where James Bond toys for this movie have been out for a few months and the movie's nowhere in sight. You know, like the Funko Pops are out. The Lego sets for Black Widow, they've been out for months because all of these things were on track to be released. So you have, what I'm getting at is all these promotional materials essentially that are just floating around. And by the time that it's out, You don't have that advertising anymore. You don't have that hype. You don't have certain crowds interested. It's just a problem. There's certain all of it. Some things can go direct to streaming, but we also see if you do that too much, especially with things that were geared at theaters, you're not making your money back then, like they've said, and then there's no incentive to make that type of movie. And you can absolutely think Wonder Woman 84 was amazing or awful, and that's not really the point. Like you said, the point is, do you want to see that sort of movie exist or not? And I know that sounds a little bit extreme, but it really is something where they cost a lot of money to make, and you can do so much to mitigate this. You can say, well, actors aren't worth as much anymore. Maybe instead of getting $30 million for starring in this movie, you get 5. You can absolutely do that, and I don't feel very bad for millionaires that they're going to take less millions. That's not the point, but the problem is certain things you can't cut. Do you just have no CGI? Some people would like that, but a lot of movies couldn't exist at all. Do you cut animation because animation's really expensive? But then again, it's one of the only things that can be made at home right now, where, you know, a lot of filmmakers are. There's a lot of questions here that go beyond just Morbius into the whole entirety of filmmaking. We're kind of on a precipice where it seems like a lot of these companies have noticed that, and they're pivoting a lot of their characters to TV. You know, I mean, you can make The Mandalorian's expensive to make each episode, but even that, they've calculated it out where it's a net positive. That's easier to do with TV than I think it is with movies, and to bring people into a streaming service for a 2.5-hour movie.
Yep. And at the end of the day, last thing I'll say, at the end of the day, it's kind of just like tiring, where, like I said, like really beyond F9, there's nothing in that. Like, again, like if Black Widow gets delayed, it's just more annoyance. Like, fine, you know, go ahead. And you know, in general, I feel like this entire year, and we're approaching a year of all this stuff happening, has truly, it really has kind of made me believe that I don't need movies all that much. And then when I do believe I need movies, I end up getting disappointed. Like Wonder Woman, I was very pumped for it, and I was like, okay, this is kind of what it feels like to get excited for a movie again, because I haven't felt that in a long time. And then it disappointed me. Now, again, did it disappoint me because I watched it from home? I guess a small part of it disappointed me because of the movie itself, but it kind of just added it on to me, where it's like, all right, F9, Uncharted, Scream 2022, The Batman, really that's kind of it. Like, I guess maybe the Suicide Squad, but like I have a very small list, and honestly it'll continue to get less and less as long as this stuff happens, because I'm frankly quite annoyed with it. And I get it, we talked about it before, I get it. At the same time, Jay and I don't think we necessarily agree with the way things have been handled, especially with movie theaters and the stuff around the world. So let us know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you care about Morbius whatsoever? Do you think that this is kind of the first domino for all the other movies to fall? Let us know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed here, bell icon. Like I said, you can follow me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15. Jay stuff, all of it, his main channel, his second channel, his Twitter, will be in the description and as a pinned comment. Jay, thank you so much for rounding out this trilogy of movie talk with me.
Hey man, thanks so much for having me. Sorry, I was not zoning out, but I didn't want to cut you off. Well, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. I love film like you do. I'm frustrated too, but I'm interested to see what everyone else has to say as well.
Yes, a dark, possibly very, very dark road we still have, but many, hopefully really good movies to come this year, as long as they actually come out. Let us know what you guys think, and we'll see you all on the next video.